20 signs of a true twin flame connection. Yeah, I'm going to give you some that you probably most likely have not heard before. So make sure you stay tuned to listen to all of the 20 signs. Okay, some are a bit different than what you've heard before. Sign number 1, you are of age. I already recorded a video, and in the thumbnail it says maturity required. It's in the Twin Flame 101 playlist. You need to remember it is a journey of awakening and ascension. It's not an easy journey. And according to astrology, you need to be about 28 to 30 years old to be an adult when it comes to the other side, because then you have your first Saturn return. And then when it comes to spirit, this is when you're actually coming of age. And a twin flame connection, it is not puppy love. It is not, oh, this is my first crush and I'm going to be with my crush for forever. And we all know a first crush can be quite intense, you know, the first love. But a twin flame, you most likely will be at least in your late 20s. It can happen, however, that often in many twin flame connections, the divine feminine is older, so it might be that he is a bit younger and he's like in his early 20s when they first meet. That is something that can happen, but at least the divine feminine who is, you know, leading the way, she needs to be an adult. You need to have some experience in order to deal with this journey, because it's a journey of purging, shadow work, and ascension. So if you are a teenager, I'm sorry, you're not dealing with a twin flame. Okay, so you need to be of age. That is number 1. Of course, when we talk you need to be of age, that is not secluded to a twin flame connection. You meet other people when you're adults, even they're not your twin flame, but that is like a must-have. Number 2, you actually met them. You know, so many people, for example, they see a celebrity on TV and they're like, oh my God, I'm feeling attracted to them. They must be my twin flame. No, they may be a catalyst for you. Even if you would look at synastry in astrology, there may be some influence that they have when it comes to your personal development. But remember, it's a twin flame journey. It's twin. It's two people being on fire. So what never happens is you see somebody, like you see in picture of them, and you get awakened to, oh my God, this is my twin flame. That could be a catalyst connection. Remember, celebrities, I'm just using celebrities as an example. They are a projection wall for many people to project stuff onto them. And then there's thousands of people who think, oh, like this one celebrity is my twin flame. How many twin flames do you think the celebrity has? If they even have one that is incarnated, then it is one. It is not thousands of people. Yet thousands of people may go through this awakening journey with that one celebrity. So celebrities can be a catalyst for people to awaken, even if it's not a celebrity. You saw this guy down the street but you never spoke to them, they never looked into your eyes, or you just saw somebody on Instagram or whatever, you saw the picture and then it does something to you. It is not a twin flame. In a twin flame connection, it's an ascension journey for both. So spirit will make sure that you will meet that person, you have the famous first eye contact, and both will get awakened. Of course, it can happen you meet them online and your first contact is not like video chat, like seeing each other, but it could be like on the phone and you hear their voice and it does something to both of you. So a twin flame connection will do something to both of you, even if the divine masculine has to withdraw, if the divine feminine still has some issues to heal when it comes to self-worth issues. He cannot show her how amazing she is. If she's got fear of abandonment and loss, he cannot be there, so he needs to withdraw. But first of all, they do have this recognition, and it is two-sided. It cannot be one-sided. I do have a video called Can a Twin Flame Relationship Be One-Sided? You can check that out. It's in the Twin Flame 101 playlist. Major factor, you actually have met this person and they felt somewhat special when in your first encounter as well. You will have seen it in their eyes, or they would have even said something like, oh my God, I've never felt this before. But of course, This can happen with soulmates as well. My best friend is one of my soulmates, and we did have this instant soul recognition as well. And I knew from day one, I want you to be my friend, and she felt the same. And it's platonic, of course. So soul recognition can happen in platonic connections, but also in soulmate connection. It's not limited to twin flames, but every twin flame will have a soul recognition, and they're two-sided. It will not happen that spirit awakens you because you see them online or on TV and they don't get a chance to be connected with you. It's a connection on both souls. Otherwise, a catalyst connection can be one-sided, and it's still a true journey. Of course, it could be also like an ego thing, like, oh my god, my twin flame is a celebrity. So I do have a video on that already, I believe. If not, I'm going to make one on celebrity twin flames. Number 3, you already have healed some trauma before you meet them. Okay, many people are in some kind of anxious attachment style and attract somebody who has the avoidant attachment style, which is connected to drama. Of course, it can happen that when you meet your twin flame, you still have a bit of the anxious attachment style and they're the avoidant attachment style, which the anxious attachment style is like this holding on too much and having this fear of loss, and the avoidant, as the name says, is the other person withdrawing. That is a part of a twin flame connection as well. But if you have been through this again and again and again, it's like a red thread, and it's like the cycle. What will happen then is that spirit says, okay, you didn't learn that lesson with person number A or B or C or D. Now we're giving you person F, and we're going to amp it up. So this one, we're sending you a karmic where you probably have like some kind of Pluto connection. You have this instant soul recognition, and it will feel extremely intense because this time we don't want you to weasel yourself out of the situation. You have been repeating the cycle over and over and over again. So now we're going to force you to look at it. And then there's people who are like, oh my god, I found my twin flame because it's so intense. It's not when you haven't made a major progress. So if you had been dealing with repeating cycles, for example, attracting narcissists or whatever situation it is, and you have not overcome that, you have not, when I say overcome, it's you have not ended this relationship, and it actually did something to you, and it brought you to another level, that you stepped up in your self-worth, then you're not dealing with a twin flame. What can have happened, of course, is that you ended this relationship and you started working on yourself, and you did sort things out in your life. You detached from people who are no longer good for you, which could be family members, could be friends. You started working on your self-concept and you made some progress. Then of course you can attract a twin flame, and you still may have a bit of the avoidant or like the anxious attachment style, because maybe that is not healed completely. You don't have to have it healed completely in order to attract a twin flame, but a twin flame is a new level. So if you're repeating this level like a computer game, I have like a Super Mario, like a jump and run game, you were killed in that game again and again and again, and you repeat it again and again and again. If you have not successfully completed this level, you cannot get to the next level, which means you cannot attract a divine counterpart, twin flame, or whatever kind of divine counterpart. You need to have resolved this level first. And we're talking about levels. We're not talking about you completed the entire game and you're done with all of it. No, but you have to have leveled up in order to attract a higher connection. It's vital. Otherwise, you will attract a connection still here, but it will be more intense, more toxic, to push you through that lesson, to work on yourself and to work on your self-concept and to learn to set your boundaries. So again, if you have not made a major progress before you attracted your twin flame, it's not your twin flame. If you still have the old repeating cycles, that's a trauma bond. So when you have attracted this kind of a karmic bond, it will feel very much intense, and it will feel very similar to a twin flame. That is why it often gets confused, because it's very similar indeed. So one sign is you attracted a true twin flame is if that you have already leveled up in some way. Number 4, you've always had the feeling that there's someone special for you out there. You always felt it. But be careful with this one, because If you have had like a kind of toxic childhood, then it can be just psychology. You have not been loved, and that of course installed like, oh, I want to be loved so much, and then you just long for that specific person, for your true counterpart. And then it can be confused, you know, it's not a feeling that is coming out of your heart, or I feel there is someone out there, but it comes out of pain and a distorted ego, like I want to be loved because I haven't made this experience yet. So you have to use discernment, where is this coming from? But in a true twin flame connection, you will always feel, okay, there has been this one special person, and that shows by you not like dating one person, then the next, and then the next, and then the next, and then the next, because you will know that there is the special person, and you have the feeling like, okay, it's going to be somewhat fated. I don't have to go through, I don't like 20 people in order to find them. They will come to me. You have this inner knowing that it will just happen, and you will not meet one person and think, oh my god, they're my person, then you meet the next one, oh my god, they're my person, then the next one, oh my god, they're my person. That would be more like if it comes from the distorted energy, like I wish to have that specific person, but it's not coming from the soul that is guiding you, and you won't be looking for that person because you know it's just going to find you. And it's nothing you know consciously, but it's a subconscious program that you won't go looking and testing multiple people, and then the next, and then the next, and then the next. Number 5 is the soul recognition, the instant eye contact. Always talked about it. Both people feel it. It is something that is happening. You see each other, you look into their eyes, and it does something to you, and it kind of like changes your life, just because you look into their eyes and you feel recognized and you recognize them. Also, of course, this can be connected to a Kundalini awakening that can happen shortly prior to meeting, like it did for me. It happened about 3 weeks before I met my twin flame. I had a sudden Kundalini awakening, but I knew that something would happen when I go to the specific event. I just had bought a ticket to an event, and I knew going to that event would change my life. And I had this Kundalini awakening, and the event is where I first saw him. And then, of course, the famous first eye contact, there will be a spiritual high afterwards. I have a video on the spiritual high, so you can check that out, but you will feel like energetic, like for at least like a week. You feel like, oh my god, this is just perfect, and it does something to your energy because your soul recognizes, yes, you are on the right path, something really big is happening here. So you meet them and it shakes you to the core. It's not like, oh, you meet a guy and then the intensity grows and then you think, oh my god, it's my twin flame. Well, it will have been there from the very beginning, and your body will have reacted. And by body, I don't mean the lower parts. Yeah, those two twin flames have a strong sexual connection, but it will shake you to the core, and you will have a sudden ascension or something happening within you, and it will definitely influence your hormones, but not in like a normal way. Oh my god, I am a lover of butterflies. It will be even more sincere than that. But again, I do have an entire video on that subject. Number 6, when you meet them, you will have this inner knowing, and you just feel this bond, and you know, oh my god, this is my person, this is it. And it's not coming from the ego, like as I said, you've tried like multiple times. It's like, oh, this is them, and then this is them, and then this is them, and then this is them. It won't be like another situation like this. Maybe you've never really felt like, oh my god, this is them, or like this, but you will know we belong together from the very beginning, and it will be a peaceful situation. It won't be obsessive at that phase. There is something like twin flame obsession that is kicking in a bit later. It's a very important part as well. But this part is peaceful, it's calm, and it's blissful. You just know. You cannot explain it. It's nothing that is coming out of your conscious mind. You just know. It's the inner knowing, it's inner peace. The ego will kick in a bit later. I just mentioned the spiritual high. After that phase, then maybe the ego like, oh my god, but they're different, they're older, and then there's this, and then there's that, and then there's religious difference, and whatever it is. And the ego will look for excuses why this is not going to happen. But again, this is the ego that's trying to protect you, because it notices, oh, there's something big happening inside of me, I don't know what it is. And the ego doesn't like new things. The ego likes the things we're used to, even if they're not good things, but we're used to them. So when something big happens, the ego is amping up, but not from day one. The very beginning will be very harmonious, and then the ego will kick in later on. Then you do have some differences. I already mentioned that, and I already recorded a video on the twin flame differences. There may be age gaps, there may be cultural differences, there may be class differences, like one is rich, one is poor, same sex, one homosexual, one straight, and then they're confronted with, oh my God, I've never really been into that sex before, and now what's happening? So there will be some kind of differences. That is why the ego does kick in. But I also have to say, it does not automatically mean you are dealing with a twin flame. And sorry for being blunt, but if you fell for the scam artist from, I don't know, another country that's like, oh my God, I want to come visit you, but I need money, that's not your twin flame, it's a scam artist. Just because there is a huge age gap or whatever it is, it does not automatically mean it's your twin flame. It can be nothing. Can be an ego thing, but of course it can be a soulmate or another kind of soul connection. But twin flames usually, they have differences because they also want to learn to trust their own instincts. I do have an entire video on that, you can check that out for more information. Number 8, yes, I called this automatic healing. What does that mean? When I met my twin flame, and we are now past the spiritual high, we're past the ego kicking in phase. It was like probably like 3 months after I met him. I felt like everything was taking apart. You know, I have like a machine in my inner eye with those, how do you call those wheels that click into each other, like gears that click into each other. And I felt like everything was like clicked into place. And I remember that I had been working on healing childhood trauma for many years already, and I thought I had been over it. It's what we always think, right? Every time you make a step forward in our journey, we think like, oh, this time I got it, and then it comes back. But I was at a good place. And then what happened was that I was laying in bed after like 3 months, and it was like a couple of weeks, and all of a sudden the childhood memories came up. And during the day I was in a good state, but just when going to bed, there was like this negative stuff coming up and replaying again and again and again. And I noticed it as purging, because then just like it came, it stopped, and then I really had let it go. So when you meet your twin flame, you will go through some healing process, and you will be guided through it. It may happen automatically that you just lay like I did in bed, and there's like this processes going on in your subconscious, or it might be in some other way, but you will undergo through some healing. So if you're stuck in a situation, like in a karmic cycle with this person, there's no progress, it's not a twin flame, because in a twin flame connection, there is quick inner stuff, healing, ascension, acknowledging of stuff happening, and you cannot actually miss it. So if nothing like this happens, it's most likely or definitely not a twin flame, because something like this will have happened, that you are pushed into doing shadow work as well, and you stop oppressing stuff. You will finally really feel pushed to look at the things you have been oppressed in the past. Number 9, there is no toxicity. There's so many people, they're like, oh, my twin flame is a narcissist. Well, if they're a narcissist, they're not your twin flame, because remember, we're talking about divine feminine, divine masculine, divine counterpart. And how do you want to connect divine and toxic? It's not the same as the other end of the spectrum. I always say, of course, your twin flame journey, it can hurt, but what hurts is that we put our expectations onto them and they don't fulfill our expectations. For example, if you have fear of abandonment, they will have to leave, and I have a video on that as well. Why is my twin flame ghosting me? They have to go to trigger that. If you're not in your self-love, they will not show you how amazing you are. What they're not going to do is abuse you physically, sexually, mentally, in any way. They will avoid you because that's their job. It's their job to trigger you. But they won't do you any harm actively. What hurts is that they don't do what you want. That is the painful thing. You don't get what you want from them, but they don't do anything to you. So if it's toxic, it's not a twin flame. Number 10 kind of like ties into that. You cannot really be mad at them. Of course, there may be situations, I've had that with my twin flame as well, that I learned something about him, or he did something, and I was mad for like a couple of hours, but then it ceases. You can't really, you're not in victim mentality like, oh my god, they are the evil ones and they're doing something to me. You don't see them like that. You won't, if you're dealing with a twin flame, I've always read comments in other channels like, oh my god, they're doing this, they're a narcissist, they're evil, they're not, ba da 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 da, they're so mean, they are mistreating me, ba 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 ba. Not a twin flame, okay? And you cannot have this anger. It's, again, anger, it's not divine energy, it's distorted energy. And we are all human. Of course, sometimes you may be mad, but you won't be able to hold that frequency for longer than a couple of hours, and then you will overcome it. If you stay in this energy like I'm the victim and they're the bad guy or bad girl that are doing something to me, it is not a twin flame, because it is a divine connection and you feel it. You feel them as being a part of you. And that would be like being mad at yourself, like hating yourself. I mean, some people do that, of course, but again, we're not talking about divine energy, and that would not be divine energy. That would be distorted energy. But another thing's important when I say you can't be mad at them, I'm not talking about spiritual bypassing. It's not like they actually do something and you're like, oh my god, I'm so spiritual, no, I can mad at them and I can't be mad at them, and then you oppress it. Okay, that is a toxic trait as well. It's, you genuinely cannot be mad at them for long. And how do you recognize the difference? Well, peace. You're in peace again, and it's real peace. It's not like, oh, I'm oppressing it, I don't like to look at that. So you get out of victim mentality. You don't blame them, but also you don't, like, if for example they cheated, you would not be, oh well, okay, then he cheated, yeah, I love him anyway. Yes, you do love him anyway, but don't just bypass it. You need to process it. Okay, it's very important. Don't just like oppress it. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, okay, I'm getting triggered, I'm dealing with that trigger, and I'm realizing that I created this, so I'm responsible for it. I'm not the victim in the situation. It is just showing me something I need to look at, and I'm looking at it. That's the way to go about that. Number 11, your life will change drastically. It can be a bit chaotic in the beginning, and I've experienced it myself, and I've had many clients who are like, oh my god, everything is falling apart, and my friends don't call me anymore, and there's friendships that are breaking up, and my job is not working, what's happening? And that is a normal process, because when you ascend, you need to shed things that no longer serve you, and it can be people who are not good to you, even if you've been friends for like 20 years or longer, even if that's your family member. If it does not good to you, spirit will keep you away. Another thing is, some friends won't break off totally, but there is this phase where you are being isolated. In that phase, you're supposed to look inside of yourself and not to get distracted by other people. It's really like your hermit phase that's connected to the twin flame journey. You are a hermit. You go into your cave and you reassess everything. You do ascend. You overthink your life. That is often something that happens alone, which can be painful because we don't really have the chance to talk about people. We do get isolated temporarily. But of course, it also happens that when you ascend, there are people who don't ascend with you, and then it's no longer a frequent, like a match frequency when it comes to frequency, and they will break off, and then that will change your life. Another thing is, when you are on this journey, you're learning more about self-love, and going to a job you hate is not self-love. And you also learn to trust the universe, and doing a job you hate just because to get the money, and you don't think like, oh my god, I'm like in my 40s now, I can't get another job, it's so hard to get a job, I don't know what else to do, and it's difficult. That is coming out of the ego, not your higher self. So if you get these signals and you don't really listen to them, then spirit may step in, and you might lose a job, for example. You may lose things, you may lose connections that are no longer in your best interest, because you've been holding on to something that was not good for you. So when you meet your twin flame, very often it happens that you overthink connections, but also your job, and all of a sudden it's like, yeah, I've been doing this job and for a while it was fine, but now I realize I really want to do that. And yeah, that is what would make me happy. And you start doing new things. That happens also because again, the more you ascend, the more you connect to your higher self, the more you love yourself, and the more you're getting rid of stuff that is not good for you, and you attract things, or you want to do things that are good for you. So that's like another thing, how you definitely recognize a twin flame or a divine counterpart, another high soul connection. It can happen with high soul connections as well, of course. But you will have drastic changes throughout your entire life, not just like one thing. Unless you, or maybe you already do what you love to do, then there can be changes in other areas of your life, and it doesn't have to be the job if you are already on your right path there. For me, I've already been on my right path, coaching, but for me it's getting more away from the psychic hotlines, more to doing this. This is where I am being led to, and I've been fighting it. Spirit wanted me to do videos for like 7 years now. I was just too terrified to get in front of the camera, so there was a lot of pushing. And I said in another video, it's like they're decreasing my clients from the hotlines because Spirit's like, no, we're stepping in. You've been a chicken, and now we push you, now we force you. And they were taking 2 jobs away from me that I had as well, and they're really pushing me to do this because I was a bit scared, I admit it. But when you meet your twin flame, you will learn to overcome fears and really trust in the process. Number 12, spiritually awakening. You do realize that you are connected to everything and everyone. Your twin flame, of course, is the closest frequencies. You are even more connected to them, but you're connected to all that is, and you realize that. So when you meet your twin flame, you would not be like, oh, they are with their karmic and the evil karmic or stuff like this, because you will realize, wait a minute, I'm connected to that person as well. This is part of me as well, that evil karmic. And yeah, you feel this connectedness to all that is, and you stop judging others. And of course you are no longer in victim mentality, because you realize, wait, I created all that is. I created my entire experience, so I can change it. So you drop any kind of victim mentality. Of course, we are humans, and something may happen, and you step back in, completely normal, it's fine, but you will learn to notice it faster and step out of it. And maybe you felt sorry for yourself in the past for like weeks, and now it's like a couple of minutes until you're like, oh, wait a minute. But it's part of the human experience, so it's not like we are always aligned, always centered. It's everybody falls out occasionally. It's you notice it quicker, and that happens rarer and rarer, and you are more aligned most of the time. It's a training, to be honest. It's just a training. So number 13, the ascension journey. And this shows you are dealing with a true divine counterpart, maybe a twin flame or another kind of divine counterpart. You will start to educate yourself, and all of a sudden you may be, reading books about manifesting and metaphysics, or you will watch the YouTube on this, and you want to really learn, and you invest a lot of your free time. Me, honestly, every day I spend a couple of hours educating myself. It's a vital process to learn more about yourself and about spirituality and how this world actually works, and twin flames and whatever it is, astrology. That's just what I'm interested in. You may be going a different path, but you will most definitely feel like guided. You're very guided to educate yourself on these topics, and you will really dive in. So when I say it educated, it's not like you every once in a while watch a YouTube video. No, you will binge watch everything you can on that specific topic, and then you will go to the next. Okay, I'm a bit obsessive maybe sometimes. When I want to learn something, I want to learn 100%. That's the Virgo perfectionism probably, or the Mars in Scorpio that always wants to go as deep as possible when I'm interested in something. May not have been as obsessive to do it hours a day, but you will every day. Of course, there are phases when you're like doing the purging, then of course you won't be able to do. But most of the time you will educate yourself, and you will feel absolutely guided to do so. It will come from your inside, because you are meant to break cycles, and you can only do that when you are gaining more knowledge. So you are ascending by stripping more and more and more illusions away, and by feeding your mind with new concepts about this universe, your journey, yourself. How do we work? How do we operate? What is manifesting? How do we manifest? And all of that. It will just happen naturally. And some things will just drop into your lap. It could be you're watching something on YouTube, and then there's like a suggested video that is completely different from what you've been watching before. So it shouldn't be in your algorithm, but it is. It's popping up because Spirit is like, watch that. And one thing that happened to me was in 2011 or 10, I believe, that all of a sudden I found a PDF, a ebook of Conversations with God on my computer. No idea how it got there. I have no idea. It just, all of a sudden, I was going through some files, and there I was, and I read it, and I mentioned that in the video about the spiritual high. It gave me a spiritual high because it was connected to truth, and it ascended me to another level. You know, ascension is something that happens in steps. So that brought me ascension, and yeah, it just appeared somehow. And Spirit will make sure that you are guided to whatever you're supposed to look at. So you can trust that guidance. And yeah, again, that is something that will happen in a true authentic connection, because why would you even attract a twin flame? It is foremost about the awakening journey, ascension, and second about union. It's about union as well, of course, but it's about the ascension journey. So Spirit will push you through that. Number 14 is the most intense connection you've ever had, which could be a karmic as well, but the difference is you will trust in this. You have this spiritual high when you meet them. You know, you're constantly guided by Spirit, so you trust in this connection. You have this inner knowing. I was talking about the inner knowing. Of course, you may have days where it's off because you do have an ego, but it's days. It's not, or you know, okay. The purging phase, that can be a month. That can be a couple of weeks or month. The dark night of the soul phase, yes, the purging dark night of the soul phase. You may not be too trusting in that specific part of the journey, I admit it. But once you're through this, and it can happen a couple of times, there may be more than one dark night of the souls. But in between those phases, you just know, you trust completely. So you won't be, I already said, you won't be mad at them or frustrated, oh, they're the evil ones that were not coming. You trust in this connection, you feel connected with them, and you have this inner knowing, this is going to work out. Of course I get union. Again, there are days where you may be off, but most of the time you will have that inner knowing, yes, of course there's union coming for me. And most of the days you will actually be happy you met them. I've read about so many people, oh, I'm so sick of this journey. Yes, that can happen through the dark night of the soul, purging phase. Otherwise, it happens when somebody is false labeling a twin flame and they're not doing their stuff and they're stuck in this karmic cycles. Of course, you get sick of karmic cycles because they will repeat again and again and again and again and again and again and again until you break the pattern. It's your job to break the pattern. It's not your person's job to break your pattern. They can't. They're unable to do that. It's your job to break your pattern and then ascend to another level. But yeah, most of the days you will be absolutely happy that you met them because it changed you in your core, and it gave you the healing and the ascension, and you realize that there's so much more out there, and it gave you the phase where you learn. This is actually not a phase, the learning stuff that is like throughout the entire thing, most likely, except for maybe the dark of night of the soul part, where you just purge and you don't have any energy to educate yourself in some cases. But yeah, you're just happy that this happened to you. So again, you're not a victim. You're happy to have met this person, and part of you is like, okay, I know we get union, but even if we don't, it's still worth it because I am a complete different person. I know I get union because I'm the creator. And if I can manifest, if I can imagine being with them, then only because that possibility, that timeline exists, and it's my job to get there. So there's no doubt in union. But even if it wouldn't happen, but it will, it's fine. Because I wouldn't miss the journey at all. It's a blessing most of the time. Number 15, the crazy synchronicities. When you meet a true twin flame, synchronicities will be like crazy. I always say it's like the neon sign flashing, like it's them, it's them, it's them, it's them. And when you have your minutes of doubt, spirit will keep you back on track, and you will hear their name repeatedly, or you will hear songs that remind you of them or something. Whatever. Signs and synchronicities can be very individual, but you will constantly be reminded. There was a phase where I was really fighting this connection. It was about 1 year in, where I had a major problem that had nothing to do with him. It was like a financial thing. It was with the German tax report. I had to pay a lot more than I expected, and then they froze my bank accounts and like everything. So it was a pretty bad situation, and I was really in a dark place in that moment. At the same time, you go through this ascension journey that can be draining sometimes, because there is purging, there's the energy work that can feel draining, and I was just so sick of that journey for a couple of days. It wasn't long, it was a couple of days where it was like, oh my god, I am so sick of it. So I did have that, yes, but again, only a couple of days. And the synchronicities were even amped up. It's like I can't even tell you because they're too personal for me, but it was like crazy. It was extremely crazy, the synchronicities I got. It was like reminded of him constantly all the time, and it was like really specific synchronicities that I could never like connect to any other person than him. And I remember I was with my brother in London, so yeah, I booked a holiday, and then day before I want to go there, my bank accounts were frozen, so I was not having a fun time. And I remember like 3 days later, it was just like a 3-day trip. I was in the car. My mom had picked me and my brother up from the airport. She was driving me home, and I was the spirit, okay, if this is really a twin flame connection, just send me a sign. I'm so sick of it, but if you send me a sign now, I'll accept that. And then there were like cars. We were on the street, and there was like one car, it had TF, twin flame, on it, on the license plate. Then the next one, yeah, German word for yes. Then there was like a number I associate with him, then the 1111, and then his initials. And I saw cars with all of these on the license plate within, let's say like 30 seconds or 20 seconds maybe. Like it was like twin flame, yes, his initials, either like I remember his birth dates on a license plate or the time he was born, something like that. And the 1111, so I was like, okay, spirit, okay, I give up. So the moment I was fighting it, the synchronicities were even more crazy, like intense crazy. I have another one. You may have seen this one before. I talked about this in other videos about how crazy guided it is. And I knew my twin flame, who is from another continent, was in my country, in Germany. And he had an event in Berlin. And I asked Spirit, should I go? I want a clear sign, because if I don't get a clear sign, I'm not going. I want to know if it's for my highest good, because I don't want to act out of ego. And I was like, I want a clear sign. Basically, I want to read, go to Berlin. That's how clear I wanted. And a couple of days, I left my apartment. I had to go grocery shopping. And I was walking by some guys. They had a conversation, and one was talking to the other. Yeah, I think I have to go down there to make sure. Technically, Berlin is up, going north. But I just passed random people, and I heard the conversation. Yeah, I have to go there to make sure. I have to go there. Then I went to the street, and there was like a streetcar, like a cable car going by, and it had a name on it written that I associate with him. Then I saw a car, and I didn't even know this existed. And this car, maybe you can read it, it says Berlin go. So basically, go to Berlin. Berlin go. And I just had to laugh. And right next to it, there was a statue of a bear. So there was like this pathway, the car was there, and then there was the house with the bear. And Berlin, it's connected to bears, it's on their flag, and it's the symbol of Berlin is a bear. And then I went grocery shopping, and on the way home I saw a car in my neighborhood I've never seen before parking in front of my apartment, and it was a red Twingo. So go to your twin, go. So I was like, okay, spirit. And I did go there, and I of course met him, and we talked, and it was amazing. So it is extremely, 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 extremely divinely guided, and you will get signs and synchronicities, and even more so in your days of doubt. Number 16, it's a strong sexual chemistry. Why? Because twin flames most likely will have Pluto connections in synastry, but positive Pluto connections, because karmic connections will most likely also have Pluto connections, but they are not in like good contact. Maybe like squares, for example, whereas a karmic a twin flame would have karmic connections, but positive ones. Pluto is connected to healing, to ascending, to karma as well, but it's connected to Phoenix, the purging, and that's what twin flames do. They purge, they heal, they ascend, and that is Pluto. And at the same time, Pluto is connected, well, Scorpio is connected to sexual chemistry. So twin flames are not platonic. There are other divine counterparts that can get confused with twin flames. I do have a video on different kind of divine counterpart connections. I talk in depth about that. But twin flames, they do have a strong sexual connection. Hence the Kundalini awakening I already mentioned. So there is something like that going on as well. It's a strong pull, magnetism towards each other. Number 17, there may be sensations like you feel their presence. There may be ghost touch. I have that a lot, that it feels like somebody like puts their hand on my back, and it happens a lot. And I ask spirit, okay, is this a spirit touching me? Is this a deceased loved one? And I was like wanting to know who keeps touching me, and then I was like, okay, is it my twin flame? And there the answer is yes. So I assume when he thinks of me, I can feel it because I feel this ghost touch on my back. But there may be other sensations. Some people smell presence, they just feel the presence. It could be some different kind of sensations. Everybody's a bit different, of course. You know, sometimes I just feel this presence. Sometimes I smell smoke, he does smoke. This is what I hate. I don't like smelling smoke. So all of a sudden, even though my balcony was closed and I don't smoke, I had the sense of smoke coming. So it can take different forms, but that can be a thing of a divine counterpart. It doesn't have to be a twin flame, but a divine counterpart is you have this strong connection that you sometimes sense their presence. And of course, telepathy can be in there as well, that you pick up on their emotions or their thoughts. And that is something that happened in my split twin flame journey, for example, is that I picked up when his mom almost died, and I just woke up, or I couldn't sleep, and I had just in my head, death, death, death. And I panicked and I googled his name because I thought, oh my god, maybe he killed himself, because that was an issue. Then I was like, no, something happened with his mom. And then when I saw him the next time, he actually confirmed that his mom almost died. She didn't, but she almost did. And the same thing happened when he wanted to kill himself. I was laying in bed, and that was a good place. I was all of a sudden like, why don't I just kill myself? And then I was shocked, like, where is this coming from? And then I realized it was coming from him. And about a month later, I met one of his friends. I ran into her, and we were in separation back then, and she told me, yeah, he is at the hospital, at the mental hospital, because he wanted to kill himself. And I did pick it up. So it doesn't have to be as sincere as that. It can be happy thoughts as well, but it can be that you do pick up your twin flame's energy, either by feeling their presence or thoughts or emotions or something like that. Number 18, you feel like you have changed for forever, but in the best way. We already talked about this. I mentioned that is that people break away and you feel drawn to a new job, new career, whatever it is, like new things. But it's not just that, it goes on a deeper level, because you go through this ascension and you feel like, yeah, I wouldn't miss it for the world, and I'm not the same person. There's been a me before I met him, and then there's a me after I met him, and that becoming the real me is just going on and on and on and on and on. And this is just absolutely amazing. Like, you are changed for the better, very important. Again, you're changed for the better in the most intense way you've ever had, and you feel like you're not the same person anymore. So we already talked about the differences. So even though there are differences, you will realize that you are actually the same. And let's take an example. One twin flame is poor, the other one grew up in a rich household. And one twin flame, the poor one, mom wasn't there because she had to work to provide, and dad wasn't there. And the other one was rich, and parents were never there because they were jet setting, and that person grew up with a nanny, for example. So both had the same experience of mom not being present, even though one was rich, one is poor. So it's different, but then the same. And when they meet, they may see the differences for a while, but then they realize, oh my God, we are so much alike. We share the same interests. We have the same core values. We have so much in common. So the differences you see, that's just the first glance, but you learn to look behind that, and you see there is way more sameness than difference. The difference is just, like 3D stuff. The 3D stuff, like the upbringing and what nationality, what the age. But on the soul level, you feel like, oh my God, we are the same. We are a perfect match, and your twin flame will be your perfect match. Number 20, you won't give up on this journey. I already told you, Spirit is constantly guiding you, pushing you, sending you signs and synchronicities, and you do have the inner knowing that this is my person. There is no like, oh yeah, I met my twin flame, but now I'm with this soulmate because that didn't turn out. No, in this case, you were dealing with a catalyst, or you falsely labeled somebody a twin flame, and they were not that at all. In a true twin flame connection, you stay on the path, you have this inner knowing, you feel their presence, you feel that you're connected, and there is no way to get out of that, and you don't want to get out of it. Maybe on certain days. I used the example of when I had this crisis and I wanted to get out for like a couple of days. I was fighting it, but that is just like a very short period of time, because most of the time you're just so thankful for this special connection. Most of the time you will be relaxed, you will be trusting, and you will be at peace. You just learn to trust, and in this plan, in this person, in this union, in this divine plan, and in the twin flame blueprint. And so there is not a lot of big inner turmoil going on. Again, yes, there is in the purging phase and in the very beginning, when the ego is like, wait, there's those differences. There are stages where this is happening, but not throughout the entire journey. It's a small portion of the journey. So again, you will be relaxed most of the time. You will be reminded of them constantly. You get signs and synchronicities every day. Something happens that the spirit is keeping you on track, and so you do hold on to them. So there is no other person. You don't want to be with another person. You want to be with them, but it's not obsessive anymore. The beginning can be quite obsessive, yes, the very beginning, but then it's not an obsession. It's just this inner knowing. It's peace. It's even if they're not there in separation, you are at peace because you are aligned. And when you're aligned, your higher self constantly talking to you and reminding you, yes, it's true, it's real, and you have the power to manifest it. So work on your self-concept, and then it will push out. 100% guarantee. As long as they're still alive and you work on your self-concept, you do the work, you will achieve union. It's like, I got this image yesterday when talking to a client, like train tracks, and she was like, are you sure that I can have union? I was like, well, you get to turn the switch, between the tracks. You're going to the way, not union or union. But I can tell you, if you do the work and you turn the switch to go that way to union, yes, it's 100% guarantee that you will end there. Of course, maybe you do a little bit of detours on the way, but yes, you will get there if you work on it, because the train tracks, they will go to that specific city. I use like going to Berlin. They will go to Berlin, and because I have a map of the train tracks, so I can tell you for certain, if you get the right switch, then the train tracks will go to Berlin, 100% certainty. It can't just go anywhere else because it's a train track. So you can make sure that you achieve union once you stay on track, and staying on track means working to get into your own alignment. So I have a theory about why we obsess in the beginning. I think I'm going to make another video about that in the future. It's when we manifest something, we visualize something over and over and over again. You probably know that already. So when you visualize something, this is the twin flame obsession. It's like your higher self is installing the program that happens by the twin flame obsession in the beginning. It's amping up the sacral chakra. Hence, again, Kundalini awakening may be connected to that, because that is installing the twin flame template, and you just obsessively think about them. But it's different than like obsessiveness in like a karmic connection, because you will get out of the obsession, because you learn to focus on yourself. But the twin flame obsession in the beginning is a vital part of it, but it's just a small proportion. So yeah, if you're dealing with a true twin flame, you will trust in the connection, you will trust in this journey, and you will not give up, because why give up when you know that this track is leading there? You just have to stay on track and feed the engine of that steam log by doing your affirmations, by doing your work, by working on your self-concept, and that will keep the train rolling, and then you will end up in union. There's no other way. So I hope this video helped you. I hope I could give you some insight you haven't heard on other channels, and if I could help you, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and I do see you in my other videos. I am available for personal coaching, and I wish you all the best now. Bye bye.